Hey, somebody's got to feed the reindeer. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
Ralphie, I'm a double!
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth, creating measurable results for people like you and families like yours. No longer a member of the amateur ranks, I am the Professional Noticer.
Santa here? I know him. Hello,
everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Merry Christmas. Hey, thanks for making me a part of your week. And while our topics might seem to vary wildly at times, it's because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, we will field questions about business, spiritual issues, popular culture, and why you never stick your tongue to a frozen flagpole during recess. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. Hey, the Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by Kamado Joe Premium Ceramic Grills. Let me ask you, have you ever been in the middle of doing something you love, but you're just frustrated by the quality of the tool you're using? I mean, maybe it didn't break, but it just didn't work like you thought it should, or like you thought it could. Well, some years ago, this was the realization a couple of buddies had about grilling. They loved it. They grilled all the time, weekend after weekend. However, they would be a bit disappointed by their grills every single time. They just knew there had to be a better way. And there was. And there is. As it turned out, these guys had the ability that allowed them to design and develop a better grill, the best grill. And the circumstances were perfect for them to bring that grill to us, the Kamado Joe. It's in all sizes. Man, it has specialized tools. Listen, personally, I'm hoping Santa leaves the Jotisserie attachment for me this year. Kamado Joe is not just about a line of products, though. Kamado Joe is what happens when a couple of guys who love to grill get serious about creating the world's best ceramic cooker. Their goal is simple, and that's that each product bearing the Kamado Joe name becomes a trusted part of exceptional grilling experiences for you. Look at KamadoJoe.com. With its brick red color, it'll look beautiful beside the Christmas tree. Kamado Joe, the premium ceramic grill. Observations and answers. Yeah, that's what we do here on the Professional Noticer. I deliver observations. You provide the questions. And questions are a critical component of the person you and I aspire to become. Nobody should be embarrassed to ask a question because the person who never asks a question, they either know everything or they know nothing. All right? So always remember, the quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. This week, our first question is from Sarah. She's from Tennessee. Let's listen.
Hey, Andy. My name is Sarah, and me and my husband, we both have a couple of retail spaces here in Middle Tennessee. We are very young. We got married at the age of 20. We've been married for about 4 years now, and 2 years of our marriage have been spent being business owners, and we love being business owners. God has blessed us so much, and with our job, we employ several college-age and even high school-age girls and several young adults as well. And with us being a faith-based company and with us listening to you and gaining your wisdom for almost a year now, by the way, side note, thank you so much for your insight. We have loved reading your books. We have loved listening to your podcast, and we have really gleaned from your wisdom, so thank you. But with all of that information that we've taken in and tried to apply it the best we can to our lives, we are striving to be the best employers and the best business owners that we can be. But with that comes some challenges trying to be a good employer, but also facing confrontation with our employees. So I was just wondering the best practices that you think are the best to put in place for those that are in an authority role or in a boss figure role. And then also how to maintain respect while still becoming naturally close to the people that you work with every day. Any insight on this, we would love to hear from you. And again, thank you so much for all that you do for us and so many others. Have a Merry Christmas.
Okay, Sarah, thanks for the question. Very interesting. And I have a very specific direction to go. I got a very strong feeling as I was listening to your question. You didn't mention your husband's name, but your husband is a very big part of this as to whether it goes north or south, so to speak. And for a couple of reasons. One is because you mentioned it's a faith-based business. And you also mentioned that you employ several college-age and even high school girls, several young adults. You don't say that the young adults are men and women, but I'm assuming they're probably ladies because you mentioned that it's college-age and high school girls, okay? Okay, so one of the things, I just right off the bat, you ask about leadership in a way because you say that what are the practices that you could put in place that would be best for the people who are in authority role or in that boss figure role? Well, you're talking about leadership here. And specifically in your business, you guys, you say, are very young. You got married at the age of 20, and I've been married 4 years, so that means your husband's 24. So you got a 24-year-old guy who is the boss of young adult women, college-age women, high school girls, and you really want to remember that these are high school girls, all right? And so I would really be very, very careful. I know that you did not go in this direction with your question, but I'm going to take my answer in this direction because you're talking about what are the practices to best put in place for those who are in authority role or as a boss figure. And I know that you are asking, how do you deal with them so that they treat you respectfully and so that you don't have confrontation issues. Let me tell you, the worst confrontation issue you can ever have is for somebody to get mad and then for your husband to have been, maybe in, and I don't know if your business has a back room, okay? But trust me, you guys need to make sure that your husband is not in a position of being alone with any one of these ladies. Now, I know that there are probably people listening to me going, well, how are you going to run a business? How are you going to, listen, I don't know. It's your business, how you run a business. But I'm just telling you, in the world that we live in today, you don't have to do anything. You just get the wrong person mad at you and have put yourself in a position where you can't deny where you were. I tell football coaches sometimes, I say, look, your reputation and your ability to work, it depends on what people are thinking and what people, their thought processes when they see you in certain places or whatever. And obviously, I guess as a college football coach, as a coach of young men, you wouldn't be caught dead in a strip club. I hope you wouldn't be caught dead in a strip club. Okay, but just understand, you hadn't got to be caught anywhere in a strip club. All you got to do is change your flat tire in a strip club parking lot and be seen driving out of that parking lot and have somebody take a picture of you. And your career is in jeopardy, if not over. So what I'm saying is, Sarah, the very first thing, just alarm bells going off. You guys have got to run this business in a way that you are there, or there are at least, two other women there, that your husband doesn't get caught in the back room. I'm not saying he's doing anything. I'm definitely not saying he's doing anything. But you've got a faith-based company, and whether you got a faith-based company or not, your husband cannot afford to be put in a position. He cannot afford to put himself in a position where others' minds might start to wander in an odd area. Okay, now as far as the other part of what you were asking, you know what? Back up just a second. Before we go to that, let me just say that your husband also needs to be very careful as to how he compliments these ladies. You know, you want to be nice to them, you want to be friends with them, but and this is not just for your husband. This is for any guy listening. Any guy listening who just wants to maintain a great reputation, who wants to never embarrass your mate. You want to know how to compliment the opposite sex without them wondering if you have odd intentions, okay? And here's what I'm saying. If you're on a flight and you say to the flight attendant, "Wow, I really love the way your hair is done." Or if you say, "Gosh, I love that necklace you're wearing." Okay, there's a lot of places her mind could go there. Now, why is he saying that? Is this guy trying to pick me up? Was that a come on? What's the deal here? What's the deal with this guy? Let me tell you how you do this. And Sarah, this is for your husband when he's dealing with the ladies, any ladies in town. Okay, any ladies anywhere he runs into, but especially the ones he's working with, is and we use the flight attendant again to say, "Wow, I really like your necklace there. It reminds me of my wife. My wife would like that." Or, "Hey, my wife would really like your hair." Or, "I really like your hair. My wife always spots people with hair like that. I think she wants to do her hair." I mean, somehow you compliment somebody by including your spouse in the compliment. "Wow, that's a beautiful bracelet. My wife would love that bracelet." Okay, so there, she knows, wow, he's got a wife. He's thinking about his wife. So the compliment must be sincere. So you get points for the compliment, and you don't get points taken away because being suspected of creepiness or something, okay? So we got to be very careful in this day and age how we're working with the opposite sex. Now, you ask about the authority role and about the ways to put something in place. That has to be done right off the bat, okay? It can be reminded occasionally, but to say, "Look, we have a great working atmosphere here, and I just want you to know that we're going to be friends. This is going to be a friendly atmosphere. We're going to have fun. We're going to laugh." But I have to always remember that I am in charge of this business because this is my living. This is my reputation. I have to take care of it because this is how you are making a living. I have to take care of it for you. And so that means that right off the bat, I want you to know that as much fun as we're going to have, we're also going to have boundaries. And there's going to be times when I'm going to need to come to you and we'll talk over some way that things are being done. You might need to come to me and ask certain questions, and we'll talk over the way things are being done. But we always have to do this with a friendly atmosphere, but with the boundary of knowing that even though we're the same age, even though I might be younger than you, whatever situation exists, that even though these situations exist, that I am the business owner here and I'm in charge of this. So is that cool with you? And so to get that agreement, to get that boundary set before anything starts, okay? And so then when you do have to confront somebody, when you do have to sit down with somebody, say, "Hey, you know how much I love you, right? You know how good a friend is." And so right now, we need to talk over a couple of things, and we need to put on a different hat. We need to go into that boundary area that we talked about when we started, and I need to put on that ownership hat, and you put on this employee hat, and let's figure out the best thing here. But I got a couple of questions for you, a couple of things I need to call to your attention that we need to change, okay? And so that's how you get into that. But this is, these things, I know you're very young, Sarah, but these things are so easy to prepare for, so easy to defend against crazy things happening. But boy, they are tough to solve. They're tough problems to solve if things go awry. So, easy to stay out of, tough to get out of. That's one of the things we want to remember about these. So good luck. I think you got something great going. I mean, obviously, if you've been in business for 2 years and your business is still going and you still love each other, how great is that? So congratulations, and thank you so much for the question. Hey guys, before we move on to the next question, I want to get you kind of last minute stocking stuffer here, tell you about our book of the week. This will only take a minute, but the book this week that I wanted to mention was Never Forsaken. This is the Juan Ortiz story. Now, there is a quote on this book. It's a fairly short book. This is a book that you can read in a relatively short time. This is less than 100 pages. It's a softback, beautiful softback. And the quote on the cover says, "The true events in Never Forsaken have guided and inspired me for years. This book holds the answer to the life you desire for your family." That quote was done by me. I actually know Juan Ortiz. I've known Juan for 20 plus years. And, there's some times you grab hold of a book and you go, dang, this is just a great story. Well, this is that case. Never Forsaken, the Juan Ortiz story. This is a great story about, some buddies and I, a guy named Mike Jakubik out in Arizona, and a bunch of people have been urging Juan, bugging Juan to write this book for years and years and years, because his is a story that you will not believe. I mean, you think you had a tough childhood? I would put Juan's up against anybody's I've ever heard. And yet, this guy has turned out to be one of the finest individuals, just wonderful wife, wonderful family, and you need to be aware of it. Juan Ortiz, Never Forsaken. Our next question is a quick question, but wow, it packs a punch, and it kind of hits me personally too. This question is from Patricia, and she is asking this question, I think, from the state of aggravation. Let's listen.
Hey, Andy. My name is Patricia, and I have a friend who is normally a good and kind person, but occasionally in public will lose his temper with people, like when people break in line or when a salesperson appears to ignore him. It's embarrassing to me, and he refuses to admit he is wrong but apologizes for embarrassing me. Please tell me how to handle this. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for the question. This is very interesting and packs a personal punch for me, because I can answer this with personal stories. I can tell you that this is not unusual, I don't think. I bet I could describe your friend, normally a good and kind person. You did a good job there. But occasionally this person in public will lose his temper with people. This is a type A person, probably a high achiever. This is a person who holds people to a very high standard because he holds himself to a very high standard. And a lot of times just kind of goes over the line. You know who that sounds like to me is me. Years ago, that could have been me. Polly could have been writing this letter, and that could have been me. I think back on that, and I am embarrassed. Thankfully, that part of my life happened years ago, but it didn't happen just like for a week. I mean, I was like that for gosh, it's embarrassing to say a long time. I hope it wasn't a long time, but it may have been a long time. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what's going to happen with your friend. There's probably not much you can tell your friend right now because your friend is a high achiever. Your friend has high standards. Your friend probably has a high degree of being right. And, it's hard to hide it when somebody knows they're right and, somebody's not acting the way they think they should act. And then all of a sudden, they aren't acting the way anybody else thinks they should act. It's a crazy situation, but this is one of those cases where if your friend doesn't learn to discipline himself, other people or society will begin to discipline him. Okay, and the way that they will discipline him will be with a lack of reputation. They will begin to eat away at his reputation. And it will be deserved. They'll begin to create talk that will eat away at his business, that will eat away at the things he's most proud of, himself and his business and his ability to influence other people. All of that will be eroded because of the way he acts. And so he will either come to this realization in a happy, kind way. I don't see that happen very often. Or he's going to get slapped in the face by reality. Now, I'm not talking about a slap in the face from you or by anybody else. I'm just talking about reality. Let me tell you how it happened with me. I was in, I guess, my late 20s. I'm 59 now, so I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And I had gone, we live in a small town, and so a lot of businesses do 2-3 things. And there was a pool supply place that also did UPS. and so I went in there one day and I shipped a package. I barely even remembered there being two ladies in there, young ladies. They were like my age or something, or maybe a little older, maybe a little younger. But I did my package and I said hi to a friend of mine who was working in the pool place and kind of left, went on about my business. Well, later in the day, I ran into my friend, Jerry Anderson, and ran into him in the parking lot of the supermarket. And Jerry said to me, he said, "Hey, everything okay?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, so now think about this. I just want to make sure. Is everything okay?" And I said, "Well, yeah, Jerry, everything's fine." And he said, "Well, did something happen today when you shipped your package?" And I said, No, why?" And he said, "Well, the ladies asked me when you left, they said, 'Is he a friend of yours?' And I said, 'Yeah, he's a friend of mine.' And they said, 'What's his problem?'" And you know what, Patricia? Honest to God, I sat there thinking, what did I do? I didn't argue with them about anything. I didn't think that they had done anything wrong. Nothing happened. But then when you begin to examine that, I had gotten to a place in my life where I could walk in somewhere and not even have an argument with anybody, and whatever attitude I was putting out, people would think, what is his problem? Yikes. Let me tell you something. That is a problem. That was a huge, huge wake-up call for me. And all the times my wife had called me down or said, you were out of line there. And, all of a sudden, all of those came together. And I knew that I had become somebody that I didn't really like. And obviously nobody else did either. I want to urge you to continue to be patient with your friend, or to ask some questions, just some questions sometimes. Say, do you ever wonder what somebody thinks of you? You're really good at reading other people. Do you ever wonder what other people think of you? And just say, I do. I wonder sometimes. Just get them talking about it, and get your friend introspective about what people are thinking. Because some people say, it doesn't matter what people think about me. Oh, that's just not true. If you want to do business in America, if you want to keep a job in America, if you want to have any influence in our world today, it does matter what people think. And the number one way we affect how people think about us is how we treat them. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I guess thank you. I'm not sure that was a lot of fun for me to go back over that and to tell you. I'm still kind of embarrassed about that, but I'll tell you the other side of it. I knew that I had managed to turn it around at one point when a friend of mine went in a different grocery store now, but it was in the same area or in the same space. And a friend of mine was talking to somebody who stocked shelves there, and they said something about Andy. I had just walked through, and they said, Andy, who's Andy? And they said, well, he just came through here, and the guy with the wife and 2 kids. And they said, oh, that guy. Yeah, the guy who's smiling all the time, the nice guy. And I remember thinking, wow, maybe I am smiling all the time. That, I want to put out, a kind of a feeling to people that I am happy to see them, that I am glad to be around them, that they are valuable, that they're not screwing up. And I tell you, I still see, sometimes I can still be in a line and somebody doing something crazy or somebody acting a certain way. And I really do. I do sometimes want to lean in and say, hey, excuse me, Eric, can you not see? I do want to do that. But I think the first leash that we use has to be on ourselves. The first, before we muzzle somebody else, we need to make sure ours is tightly fastened. Okay. Well, Merry Christmas. I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk, shake hands with the kids you meet, and make sure you have an answer to the question, come on, can anything really be so nice that you name it twice? And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme, written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Ovaltine, provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by Hermes Elf Dentistry. Hermes Elf Dentistry, founded at the North Pole in 1964, Hermes Elf Dentistry struggled in that toy-centric economy where everyone ate candy and no one brushed their teeth. For years, Hermes, an elf himself, as well as the songwriter who penned the Christmas classic Why Am I Such a Misfit, actually studied dentistry in Jamaica for several years before returning to the North Pole and serving his fellow elf. Today, despite the continued interest in candy, cavity rate among the elf population there is at an all-time low. And that's all thanks to Hermes Elf Dentistry.